Good morning and welcome to the Morning Breath Livestream. This is episode 0 since we officially begin tomorrow, but I'm using today to get oriented and test out our live stream. So we'll see how this works out. This live stream is not about content consumption. This is a daily practice space. For the next 14 weeks, we're not chasing motivation. We're building orientation. Transformation does not begin with intensity. It begins with orientation and direction. Every day, whether we are conscious of it or not, we are orienting towards something. There are two pains available to all of us. There's the pain of discipline, and there's the pain of regret. Discipline can be thought of as a structured discomfort in the now, whereas regret is a compounded discomfort that we experience later. One is chosen, and the other accumulates. Where in your life are you currently paying the price of avoidance? And where are you willing to pay a price for growth? This 14-week journey is an agreement with discipline. This isn't about punishment. This isn't about self-criticism, but about intentional alignment, not just with yourself, but with something greater than yourself, something that we'll discover along the way. I think about my father's daily routine often, not just because I observed it for so many years as a young man, but also because he tried to instill it in me, somewhat successfully at times and others not so much. Monday through Friday at 5 a.m., my father would rise from his bed on his own, no one else in the house awake. He would choose consciousness over comfort, washing his face and brushing his teeth to cleanse away the residue of sleep. My father would sit down in the morning in prayer and study in an effort to try and align himself with something higher. And he'd prepare his day step by step, structuring his intention. He didn't wait for the day to tell him who he would be. He decided first. Ritual builds identity. The practices that we engage with cultivate and create the person we are, whether we are somatically and emotionally in alignment and coherent or living in a constant storm of reactivity. Identity shapes behavior. How we think of ourselves and how we think of our empowerment in the world oftentimes determines how we're going to interact with it. Understanding how we fit into all of that, how we are able to influence systems rather than just systems influencing us is key. And I promise you, it's not what you think it is. Behavior compounds direction, not in the sense of destiny, but in the sense of how you choose to take the next step, how you begin to keep moving forward. Mornings matter. The nervous system is at its most impressionable upon waking up, and your first inputs shape you. So if your first input is to reach over and begin to scroll, you're being shaped by that. If your first input is to get up and go to the gym, that too shapes you in a very specific orientation. The hope for this live stream in the next 14 weeks is not to begin a path in which you're staring at a screen for the next 45 minutes to an hour before you finally roll out of bed, but to instill a path of self-practice and self-discipline so that you will put your phone down and get out of bed and begin a day that unfolds in unexpected, incredible ways. Those first inputs shape your emotional tone for the day. They are what are going to provide your cognitive clarity for the day. And maybe most important of all, they are orienting your relational posture, how you're going to relate to people, circumstances, and the world. Are you going to be a passive observer, swiping to the next, or are you going to learn to engage? If your first input is chaos, whether that be through streams or that be through the situation you might find yourself in, and you want to hide from it, then you accept and borrow into chaos. But if your first input is coherence, then you generate coherence throughout the day. And it's not difficult. My father always told me, the way you begin your day often determines how you'll end it. So this live stream exists so that we can learn to insert our intention before the circumstances come that demand our reactivity, so that we can orient our breath before urgency and demand comes pouring in. It exists so that we can build our personal self-awareness before the algorithms in our lives try and take that over. Our first weeks, week 1 and 2, will be about awareness. And that starts next week. This week is going to be about orientation. But weeks 1 and 2 will be about awareness. Weeks 3 and 5, we're going to be talking about regulation. All along the way, we're going to be practicing it, but we're going to really dive into understanding it in weeks 3 and 5. In weeks 6 through 9, we're going to talk about discipline and identity. In 10 through 12, we'll dig into integration and how to perpetuate this process of learning how to self-regulate and learning how to connect our breath. And most importantly, learning how to connect the cognitive centers of our intuition, of our emotion, and of our logic. And finally, in the last 2 weeks, weeks 13 and 14, we're going to talk about expansion and leadership. Not leadership from the perspective of how you're going to get that position or how you're going to be in control, but leadership from the standpoint of how you are going to lean into emergence. You are going to learn how to flow. This is not about optimization. It's about becoming someone who keeps promises with themselves. We are training consistency. We are training orientation. And we are training coherence and resilience under pressure. And that pressure is 5:30 a.m. So here's my invitation to you. Show up daily, even when you don't feel like it. And don't do it laying in your bed. At the very least, sit up straight. But with a little more effort, find yourself in a seated position in a quiet place. Even when you don't feel it, show up. Especially when you don't feel it. Because it's 5:30 a.m., at least on the Pacific coast of the United States. This live stream is not about entertainment, and it's not about consumption. There are plenty of opportunities in order to engage in those behaviors in our world. This is about practice. This is about cultivation. This is about planting seeds in your life. At the end of this 14 weeks, you will either have 70 plus deposits into your nervous system that are orienting you towards positive outcomes, or you'll have 70 missed opportunities. The choice is yours, and we all have that choice. Will we follow the pain of discipline, or will we follow the pain of regret? Tomorrow morning, we'll begin again, and we'll probably talk about similar things. In the next few weeks, we'll begin to ramp up our understanding of these concepts and how we're implementing. This isn't about perfection, not on my part and not on your part. This is about intentionality and orientation and practice. I'll be here. I hope you will too. So let's breathe into it. And let's begin with our first breathwork connection. This is the practice that we're going to concentrate on throughout this entire 14 weeks. There's others that I'll bring into this, but this particular practice is very important. I'm not going to go into detail today about the nervous system and about what you're literally activating and connecting with. We'll do that in the next 2 weeks. Today, I just want to practice. I just want to put our feet on the ground, sit up straight, and do our first 5 minutes. Okay, my feet are on the ground, posture is upright, and I'm kind of moving my hips. I'm just kind of orienting my body. I'm just trying to kind of feel myself here in this moment. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put our hand over our heart. And we're going to do this because it is a reminder that we are connecting our hearts with our brain. We are connecting the 50,000 neurons that exist in our heart muscle to the trillion neurons that exist within our brain. As I'm sitting up straight, this isn't meditation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use my mind in order to create an ongoing list of gratitude. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to evoke a positive emotional state so that those neurons in my heart light up and do what they do with emotional intelligence and become coherent with the neurons in my brain that do what they do, which work on logical problem-solving coherence. And when I can make those two literally connect through the space in between each heartbeat, which is called heart rate variability, I can now sync up a cognitive ability that we often don't use in our culture and our society. So I'll be keeping an inventory of gratitude in my mind as I'm doing the breath practice. And the breath practice goes like this. It's in through your nose for 5 seconds, hold, and out through your mouth for 5 seconds. In through your nose, hold. You can close your eyes. You can leave them open. Begin to bring in that gratitude list. Start small. Grateful for the opportunity to be here. Grateful for the people in my life. Grateful for this day and what it will bring. grateful to be breathing. I'm grateful to be seeing the sunrise. Now on your own, when your mind wanders, come back to your gratitude. Start small, build to big. Big breath in and out with a sigh. Come back into this space. Intentional breath is an incredibly powerful tool. And the amount of data and research that's coming out now around the ability to influence your autonomic nervous system through breath work and intention is overwhelmingly incredible. You can follow me on Substack. It's Substack / Jeremy You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on all the social medias @Plowline or Jeremy Tennell. Let's do this journey together. I'll see you tomorrow.